Hi, it's Cindy Fodor. I'm so excited that you could join me today. I'm going to show you a technique called the wiper card. You may have seen it before, but I'm using a brand new set to Stampin' Up, and it's called From All of Us. It's been sitting here calling my name to play with it. It's just so stinking cute, and I hope that you will enjoy this wiper card version that I'm doing. I'm going to flip you over to the other camera and we will get started. So this is the card, and the wiper is this little thing that's popping up as I'm opening the card. So it's down inside of here, and I'm going to show you just how to make it. Isn't this adorable? This little group of animals is from this set called From All of Us. It has adorable sentiments, I can't even say it right. Some little trees that goes with it, and it's just a really fun card to, stamp set to play with. I did use the sayings before, but I haven't sat down and used these guys. So far, I have only done it with this card and some watercoloring. I would like to eventually show you some ideas where you don't have to color these guys all in if you do not enjoy watercoloring, and you can still enjoy the fabulous stamp set that it is. Okay, let me show you what you need to get started. And I will post below in the description and let you know exactly what you need so that you have that as well. But I need one piece. I'm using green. I'll give you my colors as well. This is Granny Apple Green, and it is 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. So the whole width of a cardstock, and then 4 1/4 inches. And then another piece, the whole width of the cardstock, 8 1/2 inches. And this one is 2 inches. And I'll give you scoring on those in a second. Then my inside piece for the background of the card, that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a strip of coordinating cardstock. This one I am actually, I forgot to tell you, this one is Daffodil Delight. This one is Poppy Parade, and it is 1 inch by 5 1/2 inches. I have to think because my paper doesn't have the same colors on it. And then I have a piece of paper to stamp my little guys on to cut them out. And then my designer paper for the edges of the card here and here are 1 1/4 inches wide. So I did one strip at 1 1/4 inches, and then I cut that to 4, and then this piece is 1.75, 1 3/4. Okay, so those two pieces. And then this is my wiper, and it's 1 by 2. This might be a little narrower. It was a scrap that I had. And then you need a piece of window sheet that's a 1/2 inch by about 2 inches. You also will need some glue dots, which I do not see where my glue dots got to. So anyways, but we can make do with something I have here. I do have our new Stampin' Seal, and I'm using that on this card. The Stampin' Seal is a little stronger bond, and this card is movable, as you can see. So I'm definitely using this because I want to make sure that it's going to stay in place. Let's start by getting our pieces scored that need scored, and then we'll get to the stamping part. So I'm using our Simply Scored just because it is the best way to score your card. And so both of these pieces, and you can go ahead and put them together if you want to, get scored at 1 1/2 inches and 3 inches. So I marked that on here so that I wouldn't forget what I wanted to do it at. Now, I think if you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen that I don't like having to come clear over here. So sometimes I will just measure from this side. If you're okay with math or subtracting, you're welcome to do that. For ease of you seeing where my marks are, I'm going to go ahead and do it here. And I'm holding these two pieces together, and I'm just going to go down through and score them both at the same time. Now, if I was doing this card on any mass production, I would have scored the whole sheet of paper first and then cut my pieces to save on having to hold these together and all of that. It's a lot faster if you do it that way. Okay, so we're finished with that. That's the only scoring that I need to do. All right, before we start putting together, let's go ahead and get the stamping done so that as we're putting together, we don't have to stop in the middle. Now I am using the Memento pad, which I typically don't use. Oh, there goes one light. Sorry. Which I typically don't do when I'm watercoloring, and I'm not really sure why I grabbed it. Maybe because I'm using my StazOn in all my classes. So don't do as I do, do as I say. I'm not having too much trouble with it running, but it could run for you if you use that to watercolor. All right, now I got that guy stamped. I also want to stamp, I want to stamp a tree on my background here. So I'm going to use the large tree and ink that up. And I'm keeping it up here towards the top because the little Z fold goes down here. Looks like I could have inked that a little bit better. And I might as well go ahead and stamp the happy birthday. Now, I am going to place this here first because I want to make sure that the happy birthday is above this, or at least very close to it. So there we go. Okay. Now, one more thing. Oh, I already have this stamped, so I don't need to do that. And I did cut the little tree out. And it looks like I smudged that. What I did with the tree then is I just glued it onto the edge of this card. I'm going to lay that there for a second. We're going to do by the magic of television because I wanted to have some of this colored and cut out because I didn't want you to sit there, and I don't know how to speed up a video. So here's what I have done so far, and I've cut out some of it. I used Early Espresso for the big bear, and I used Soft Suede for the little monkey. I used Granny Apple Green here. And then I want to add, my paper's over here. I'm going to add some crushed curry, and find with these newer pads, it's better to squeeze the back of it to get the ink onto the front, or onto the lid, I'm sorry. And I'm using our new water painters, and I'm going to use, I only have 2 of them in here, but I showed the brush tip on my last video, my live on Monday on Facebook. So I'm using the smaller tip. I did use the larger tip to do the big bear, and I've never been a real great fan of the larger one. It's still, even though we have the wider brush for watercoloring, for brushing on color, I still think this is more for brushing on lots of color as opposed to coloring something where you have to get into the grooves, because it's a very thick brush. So that's my take on that. So I'm definitely using the smallest one for the coloring, and I'm going to add same with the aqua painter. I always tell my customers to fill, you want to fill the brush. If you're painting, you're going to fill the brush. And I bring it out here, bring the color out so that I can add some water to it. I can always go back later and add more color, but you can't take it away once you have it on. So I'm going to do the toucan's beak here, and maybe his tail. All right, and then I need to do the beak on the ostrich. And I know you've probably never seen a red ostrich before, but keep looking. Maybe you'll find one. Who knows? I just thought he needed to be red because I wanted some red in my card. So there. We will have a red ostrich this time. All right, looks like I still have some left there from doing the sample. And I'm going to add some red here to the toucan. They're very colorful if I remember correctly, so thought something should at least be how it should be in nature. All right, so here goes the red ostrich, and I'm just going to throw this color on here quickly. You can see how the color's disappearing as I'm going. And I really like how the water in this brush stays. It doesn't get wet and messy, or too wet that it messes up your card. And you can see that even though I'm using Memento ink, it is not looking bad. It's not running a lot. But here's the thing with the Memento and regular dye-based ink is that it will fade. The dye-based ink will fade. So your colors will definitely be a tad lighter because they are next to the Memento. It makes it fade for some reason, at least in my experience. All right, so I'm almost finished with this guy. Give me 2 more seconds here. I see that I missed a leg there for Mr. Turtle, but I can always come back and do that later. He's a redneck. I crack myself up sometimes. And I'm going to give him red eyelids too. He's had a rough night. Okay, there we go. All right, I think that looks pretty good and colorful. I need to make sure I wipe those lids out before I close those. And I'm also cleaning my brush by squeezing and just wiping it till it completely gets clear. Now, it might not be completely clear on here, but as long as the water's coming clear, then I know that it's not going to mess up another project. And I do need to finish cutting this guy out. So let me just do that really quick. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. So let me just remind you that I'm filming this in early in July, and we have Stampin' Up! Has a special going on this month. It's called Bonus Days. And when you spend $50, for every increment of $50 that you spend, you get a $5 coupon to spend in August. So, and there's no like minimum order or anything like that. And it's just a great deal. Of course, as demonstrators, we were able to pre-order from the holiday catalog this month, so I was able to earn a lot of Hostess, or a lot of bonus coupons that I'll be able to spend next month. But and this is a set from the annual catalog that just came out in June, and I think you'll agree that it's just cute, cute, cute. All right. I'm being really sloppy with my cutting. I'm not typically this sloppy, but I get really nervous on camera when I know people have to watch that. Okay, done with that. All right, trying to decide if I want my toucan's little, I guess that's supposed to be a little eyebrow there, but it's a little too much. I don't know. Let me just get rid of a little bit of that. All right. Okay, there you go, cuties. All right, let's put the card together. All right, so these score lines are going to be on this side. These score lines are going to be on this side so that our Z folds can be opposite of each other. First thing I need to do is put this in place, and I can put my my little piece of DSP on this side. Let me just scoot up here so you can see. But I don't want to put it here yet because I actually have to glue this piece down so that this designer piece comes the whole way across, and you don't even see really where that meets. That's completely covered. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's get a little adhesive on here. And I'm using the Stampin' Seal Plus, so I really don't have to put a ton of this on. It should hold really well. And this just has like an 1/8 of an inch border around it. Same with everything. Everything has about an 1/8 of an inch border. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do my folds so that they're ready to go. This one comes up and this one comes back. Burnish those. All right, so now I'm ready to put this on. So I'm going to put this piece on, but we're going to work on this, so I'm not going to glue that part down. So I'm just going to, this one's going to be movable, so I'm putting plenty of adhesive on there. I don't want that to be able to move at all. All right, now I can put my designer paper here on this side. Which do I want, green, up, or down? Oh, I wanted to tell you about this designer paper. This comes from our Artistry Blooms set, and I just want to show you some of the designs in here. I've used a few of these. So this is the one that I used, and you can see the gradient colors of yellow and green in there. And then the other side is just a watercolor wash, and there's just a lot of patterns. This is the pretty blue one I had out front. There's that one again. A lot of purples and pinks and greens, and just a lot of great bright colors. Another wash, some more greens and yellows in a different pattern. This is probably my favorite, and I haven't even used it yet, but isn't that pretty? I love blues and greens together. Navy and Granny Apple Green. And then maybe some Coastal Cabana. So pretty. So really fun color pack. Very different from a lot of our typical papers. So it gives you a little chance to do something different. And I am definitely doing something different tonight with this stamp set. This is not typically something that I would gravitate to, but they all are just so cute. They drew me in. They spoiled me. They ruined me. Okay. Let's see, what else do I want to put on here? Let's go ahead and stick this on. Now I used our punch to get the banner, the banner, yeah. And so I'm just going to go ahead, and that's just going to go right at the top of this shorter piece here. And like that. Okay. All right, let's get to the wiper part. Now this is where it's a little tricky, so stay with me. Actually, let me glue this together so it's glued good before we start. Let me get my green glue here. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue on. Oh wow, that's more than a little. This needs to be cleaned off. Give me 2 seconds. I think I had trouble with this before while I was doing a video, but this one really likes to come out. Maybe just because it had a lot of glue sitting on the end there. Okay. So a little glue and just a dab on the end. And then I'm really upset about that. I probably should redo this, but I think it's going to be so fun that you're not even going to notice that little smudge is there. Okay. So let that dry a little bit till we put the wiper. So what you need to do on this little piece, this is the 1 inch by 2 inch piece. I took and just curled it a little bit because I needed to break those fibers. I want to fold this. I just have to look and make sure I'm folding this the right way. Okay, so I want to fold this down so that the top is now on the side, and it just creates a little triangle. And it's very tricky because, of course, the fibers don't want to fold. All right, so it looks like that. Let me just, okay, so there we go. There's that piece. And now I'm going to position that. Let me just think here how I want it. I'm going to position that on here. And I put mine into this corner right here. So I want this almost to the corner. You don't want to put it right in the corner because the corner has to move, but almost to the corner. And this has to be just below, the tip has to be just below your line here. So I'm going to use green glue. I would have used a glue dot because that's certainly easier. And you only want to glue this flap that's folded down. So let me just put a dab of glue on here. And I'm going to fold that back down. And so I see I got out of camera there. So I just folded down the flat part so that this is still movable. And let me just make sure that I did that right. I have to look at my sample here. Yeah. Okay, because I want it to come to flap up this way. So just think about how you want it to come up. And picture that your card is here and it's coming up there. Of course, I need to give it a second to dry because like I said, I did use glue, liquid glue. So I need to let that dry for a second. All right, so now, as I'm putting this together, I am continually looking to make sure that everything is going to go the way I want it to. Now this, so if you pull this out here, you'll see where your thing is going to pop up. And what I did was I went like this, and when this popped up, I didn't want it to completely cover my happy birthday. So I thought, well, if this is here, my card is right here, I want it to be about there. Okay, so then I put my glue dot on here, and now right here I'm gluing it right to the tip of that yellow piece. Not the tip, but a little back from the tip. I don't want it to go clear over here. Okay, so when that comes up, it's going to be right about there. Now I can decide where I want this on here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick, I put ribbon around this, but I didn't choose a very good ribbon because this ribbon tends to fray. So I really need to change this so that people can move it easier, including me. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 glue dots on there. Yeah, I really need to fix that. That's ridiculous. All right, there we go. I like to keep this on here so that people can't just unwrap it completely, because then you're exposing all the glue dots. So that's why that's on there. All right, so now nobody's going to really lay this card completely out. So it's probably going to go about like this. So I want my sign to come up just about there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that right on there. And now I can trim the back of this. I don't need this whole piece up here. So I can go ahead and trim that off. And now I think we're ready. Now I should have checked before I stuck that down, because you don't want it to come down like that. So I do need to adjust some things. So let me think what I need to do. I need to move my piece over a little bit. So I'm going to just pop this off and scoot it this direction. And let's see if that works. Okay, that's a little bit better, but I think I might need to angle it just a little. Let's try that. Okay, that's not too bad. That can be tucked in like that. As long as it can tuck in, you're going to be fine. All right, so there we go. Pop, pop. Woohoo! All right, now I'm ready to glue this piece down now that we have everything in place. And I definitely want this to stay, so I'm putting lots of adhesive on there. And it just goes completely to the edge. Let's go ahead and scoot that over here. Okay, so there's our folded card. We'll tuck him up in there. And now we're ready to put our little guys on here. And I want to position them so that you can still see the happy birthday when somebody pulls this card out of the mailbox. So I'm going to probably have to set them just at an angle because I don't want his tail to be lost off of here, although I could fold his tail in. Maybe I'll do that. So now I want to just put adhesive down here and here. So I don't want to catch this part in here. That will be loose. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Once again, positioning so that you can see the happy birthday. I really don't like that going crooked, so let's just move it up a little. Okay. And I could put a little glue here because whoops, that's a little too much. There we go. Okay. And maybe this guy, just so he doesn't get cut off by accident. All right, there we go, guys. How cute is that? This is a wiper card. And here's a wiper card that doesn't stick out the bottom as much. And it's all about positioning, guys. So play with it, try it. Seriously, it is so much stinking fun. and how much fun to send to somebody. It's not one of those cards where they're going to go like, how do I open this? Because it's going to just sort of pop open and they're going to be like, oh, look at that. All right. So if you want any of these products, please hop to my website. You can see it listed above there, stampthelove.blogspot.com. That will lead you to my store. Well, there'll be a link to my store, and you will also see lots more ideas that I have to share. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that this has been inspiring and that you'll get to stamping. And please share if you enjoyed this. Please share with others. Please let me know if you enjoyed it, and let me know if there's anything else that you would like to learn about. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.